Okay, so good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the next of our In Conversation With series, where we talk to some of our members about their past work experience, their career, how they got to where they are today, and what are their plans and exciting things going on for the future. So it gives me great pleasure today to welcome somebody that I've been trying to get into the hot seat for quite some time, and she's finally here, and it's absolutely brilliant. And it's great to see the online support that we have from our community for her today. So please welcome the wonderful Fays Gleeson, who is Executive Personal Assistant to the EMEA CEO of SCC. Welcome, Faye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for all your support.
How are you doing?
I'm okay, yeah, a little bit nervous. I think it's always difficult to talk about yourself, and especially in front of your peers, and you're all such amazing EAs and PAs. It's always a bit of a pressure, but yeah, far away.
Well, I just think, Faye, we were talking about this before. I put some pre-prepared questions together, but I think everybody just really wants to know, how did you start out your career? When did you have that moment where you thought to yourself, right, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life?
I suppose I realised at a really early age that I like to organise things. So I think I mentioned this in my write-up. My first school report came back saying that I had great organisational skills. So I used to line everybody up for their morning milk. And those of you on this call old enough to remember will understand the morning milk. And talked to them about the story that I just made up. So I'd already worked out that I like to organise things. And then obviously I went to school, and quite quickly some of my teachers realised I got a real knack at business admin. So really early on, I was 12, 13, I was put through all my RSA typing stuff. I mean, clearly that does not exist anymore. And then I just worked out that I just like to be the person who organises people, you know, to make sure that everything's right, that everyone's in the right place. So I did a bit of a stint in an accountancy company, because I thought for a really stupid minute that I wanted to be an accountant, but it turns out that really wasn't for me. So yeah, I just went in, started my early career, and then just worked out even in the first 12 months that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to support people and make other people be the best that they could be.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think when you were at that accountancy firm at the time, were you looking for other opportunities, or was there something that kind of came to you and you thought, oh wow, I've got to move into this one now?
You know what? I don't think so. I think I'd been a bit brainwashed at school because I was good at maths. So actually, that's where I needed to go. But I then went on to do a bit of a careers assessment, you know, that you do at 16. And it came out saying you need to be a PA. And I didn't really know what a PA was, to be honest. So I went away and looked it up, and I thought, you know what? That really is me. So quite early on, I got the fact that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to organise.
And did you think at that time, it's really interesting actually that you say that, you know, when you did that activity when you were 16 and it came out as, you know, that you to be a PA, because I just can't imagine nowadays that is really something that schools that would come out at schools, and it's something that we're trying to work on, as I know a lot of you know, this year, to trying to push forward, you know, letting everybody know about the fantastic opportunities there are. But I find that really great that happened when you were at school. But what was it actually like to try and find a job as a PA at that time?
Well, it was quite difficult because I also worked out that I decided and didn't take the route of university. So I was going to go and study law at university, and for various reasons I didn't do that. So I just kind of worked out that I wanted to just go and work in an office and get loads of experience. And I was really lucky to do that. So I got a job as a receptionist. But then I found my mentor, and I'm still friends with her today, 32 years later. And she's the one who taught me everything. She taught me how to behave professionally. She gave me all the experience I needed with managing a reception, managing an office, how to do finance, sales, marketing. And because it was a small company, you know, it's only a small engineering company, I learned all the different skills and watched how she behaved as a PA to the director at the time. So when I came out of that, I worked there for 6 years, and it being a small family company, it was really easy to fit in and work out how you could make a difference and stuff. But I did then go on to have a bit of a career change after that. So that company closed down. So So I went on to be a marketing manager, working for a Japanese company based in Birmingham, but my assignment was out in Dusseldorf. So it kind of, I went through all the different steps and worked out what I enjoyed as part of the role, what I didn't enjoy as part of the role. And obviously when I came to SCC, that's when I think I found my real calling, to be honest.
Amazing. So tell us about, so the lady that was your mentor when the business closed, what does she go on to do? Is she still, does she still carry on as a personal assistant?
Yeah. After we left that company, she actually went into retirement. So she was in her, I don't know, early 50s when I joined there. So, she's an older lady now, but still an amazing lady. But as I say, she taught me everything that she knew, and she mentored me and guided me through and just made me a rounded person to come out and actually tackle the world of work and try new roles.
Yeah, I think it's amazing when you find that role model and you just, you look up to them and you think about, you can always picture exactly what they're like in your mind. Doesn't matter how many years go by, you just know and you just see them and you can just picture it in your head.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So how did that, so when you were working for the Japanese company but assigned to Dusseldorf, did that
Yeah.
involve a lot of travel for you?
Yeah, so I spent a number of months in the UK preparing to go out to Germany, which actually included every single night learning to speak German. And anybody who knows me knows that is absolutely my failing. I am awful at languages. Even now, half of James's emails coming in French, and I'm so thankful for that translate button on Outlook every single day. So that was a real challenge. So for 6 months every night, I did 2 hours of German lessons, and then I had to go and live in Germany on my own for a little while. So new country, new language. It was deepest, darkest Dusseldorf. There was nobody there who spoke English, and trying to get all the event pulled together. So the event actually ran for 8 weeks. So normally in the UK, you have an event that runs for a few days or a week or so, but this ran for 8 weeks, and then it was all international visitors. So it was a bit of a challenge.
That's a lot to take on your own, particularly when you get sent to a country that you've never been to before. Language is really difficult. I only know from my personal experience what it's like to be put in a country you don't know anybody, and you kind of just got to go from there and find your own way. That must have been. Would you say that was one of your biggest challenges before you worked there?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You've got to take the learnings from it, because actually it just gave me the confidence to learn to do different things and to put myself outside of my normal comfort zone, because that's not something I do. I don't speak German. Even today, if you ask me, I could probably order a light beer and ask somebody for a business card. That's about as good as I get now. So I did have to go outside of my real comfort zone and just learn from it. And also, I wasn't trained in marketing at all. So it's one of those things where I love, and even today I've still got a passion for marketing, but I just had to learn. I just had to throw myself into the deep end and learn.
So there's no chance if we're at the bar, then we can ask you to whack out a little bit of German after a drink.
Absolutely. I can promise.
We know that's off limits.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. So I know, I mean, what I've always loved about you, Faye, is that you've just got this amazing passion for SCC and the job that you do, and for James and your team and everybody you work with. And how did that opportunity kind of come to light for you when you first started working there?
So I applied to be an administrator at SCC. I just looked at an admin job. So my previous role, they'd asked for voluntary redundancy, and I'd done what I'd gone there to do. I'd learned a lot, but it really wasn't the company for me. So I took the voluntary redundancy, and then I saw the job advertised at SCC. So I came in for an admin role, and about halfway through the interview, the lady who interviewed me, who's still here today and still my friend, basically said, "We think you'd be better for another role. Can we go and bring somebody else in?" So they went and brought my boss, who was my boss for 18 years, into the room, and within 10 minutes we just hit it off. And I had to explain to her that actually I'd love going through the interview process, but in 2 days I was going off to travel, and I was going off to New York. So when I'd left my old company, I'd gone out with everybody on the night, and I've actually won 2 return tickets to New York. So I just took it as a gift from the gods that said, you know what, go off and see some of the world. So go and do that. So we talked about that at interview, and she basically said, I'll keep the job open for you as long as you start the first Monday you come back. So I got my offer paperwork before I left the building, which I know even now is a feat in itself to do that. So yeah, I came back from America and I came and joined SCC as a secretary. We got about 50 people in the region then, and I was, focused on working in sales, and actually worked as a sales secretary for 15 years. And it gave me such a grounding, because working with those salespeople is something else, to be honest.
Well, was there other secretaries working in different departments as well at the same time when you were there supporting sales?
We're actually SCC, even though we're 1,800 people large in the UK, there's only a team of 6 of us who support our executive board and senior management. So we've never been very heavy on secretaries or PAs. We all do at least 1.5 jobs kind of thing, and that's how it's always worked. But working with Tracey was amazing. I learned so much from her, and I say I am the professional that I am today, having done 18 years with her. It was a huge learning curve, good and bad sometimes. But she moved on to a different part of the business, and I chose to go with her, and we created a division called Corporate Services, where we basically looked at other parts of the company. We reshaped different things. We took on central operations responsibility. So we've gone from that sales focus to a more of an operational focus. But she'd always made it clear when her end date was going to be. She wanted to go off and do an NED role, which was brilliant. So, and my ambition was always to work for James. So for 10 years, I've done lots of board support working for James. But that was always my ambition. That's where I wanted to be.
Well, I was going to say, so when did you, when you were working in the sales with with the sales directors or with the sales teams, how much interaction did you have with James at that point? Did you see him much, or? So
James has always been quite visible within the business. So there was lots of things, lots of projects I worked with him directly on. It started off at small projects to begin with, whereas his confidence grew. I did other things for him. He asked me to be responsible for other parts of the business. So from the day that I stepped into the role full time, I'd actually been supporting him in different ways, probably 6 or 7 years, doing different things. So there'd already been a lot of that interaction, and there was always that expectation from me and from him that that's where I'd ultimately end up when Tracey finished. So yeah.
Amazing. So Tracey finished and she moved on. So what happened then? How did that conversation come to light? Was it something that happened quite quickly?
So no, we had a 6-month handover period. So she had the conversation with James, and that was going to be her end date. She had the conversation with me, and then with her exec team. And then we transitioned just over 6 months. So I started transitioning, and luckily the lady who'd been supporting James had already put her hands up and said she wanted to retire as well. So there was no awkwardness of moves, of ousting people out of jobs and roles or anything like that. It all worked really, really well, to be honest.
Yeah, fantastic. And then, so what would you, how long have you been at SCC now?
I'm in my 24th year.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Very long time.
What would you say has been your biggest challenge, to date, really?
So I'm really glad to see people who are on the call, so I know I can talk about this openly. We had a structure change a couple of years ago, and James took an EMEA role, which covered the whole of Europe and the rest of our Rigby group. And we appointed a new chief executive who'd been in our business for 30 years, so I knew him. James asked me to support him as an EA. And so I found it challenging for 18 months, to put it mildly. So trying to work in different styles with 2 different people, while ultimately my loyalty lies with the Rigby family as a whole. So there was lots of difficult situations where I was caught in the crossfire of things, but ultimately I knew that James had got my back, which is great. And we came through it, and we made a change last October. So those people have left our business now, and we're a whole new business now, which is really exciting. But I found that really challenging, the difference in personalities, the difference in styles, going from having a relationship with James where I was empowered to make decisions to moving into a role where all of that empowerment was taken away. There was micromanagement and things like that. So that was really, really difficult for me, to be honest. So I've actually gone through that career, and it's been the last 18 months, it's been the most challenging, I think.
I think it's really difficult, isn't it? Because we always change is our biggest fear. I think as well, you know, none of us like nobody wakes up one morning and go, where change? This is
Yeah,
great, let's do it. It never happens. We're always naturally nervous about what it's going to be like, what impact it will have, what impact it will have on us personally, professionally, what impact it will have on the business. But you gave it a go, which is the
I
most
did.
amazing thing.
Absolutely. I gave it my best.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I love and the thing that I took away from that then was the trust that you have with James.
Yeah.
So how how do you build that trust with James? I know you've had it for over time, but how would you say, you know, somebody was kind of, you know, looking to build their career and kind of coming through and maybe at the stage where you are, where they might want to support the CEO or they might want to kind of shape their career, how would you, or what advice could you give to try and build that trust with them?
I think trust is a two-way street. So I'm really lucky in the fact that I trust James and he trusts me, but knowing that is there. And I think you've always got to have your own personal integrity and standards. And I say that about anything. If you've got your own standards and you work to those always without compromise, that trust will grow. So I've had some difficult situations over the years where people have asked me to do things that did not fit well with my personal standards, and I've had to fight against those. So I think if you always stick to those standards, you're always going to be good, and you're always going to end up with that trust naturally growing between you and the person that you're supporting anyway. You know, and always be honest. You know, if they ask you for your honest opinion, be honest. You know, be their temperature gauge of the business, and also build the relationships that you need to support them, and all of that then grows over time.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice, Faye. Thank you. And I mean, we're talking about, you know, we're looking at our conference in June, for example, this year, and when we got the feedback last year, most of the feedback we had from our members was like, what does it mean to be a strategic business partner? And I think a lot of people have their own interpretation of that. So what would you say, or what how would you feel you work as a strategic business partner with your executive?
I think you need to understand the strategy of the company. So you need to be in that. There's no point in you just reading the document and not really understanding what your 12-month, 3-year, or 5-year, or even 10-year strategy is. So understand what your business is trying to do and achieve. And also look at the projects that are associated with that and understand where you can work to support your exec in those projects. And then I think it's making sure that those projects are delivered on time, to budget, you know, and also build the relationships with all the people involved in those projects. Because if you've got good relationships with all those people who are building your business for the next 10 years, then that's going to make your exec's life a lot easier. Definitely. So for me, it's been that temperature gauge for the business, you know, working between your exec and everything else that's taking place to reach your company's.
Oh, we lost you a little bit then, Faye. Sorry. It was that last little bit at the end. Sorry, say that again.
I think really it's just you building those relationships with all of the right people in your business to make sure that the strategic goals are built for your entire company.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you. Um, I'll come on to the chat. I'll read some of the chat box out to you in a sec, but I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned that SCC is part of the Rigby group and that you
Yeah.
support the Rigby family. So is your role with James, or do you have also, you know, what do you do with the rest of the Rigby family as well?
Well, I do personal PA work for James's mum, Pat Rigby, who's still a shareholder of the business. She still organises all of our top performers trips and things like that. So I do that personal PA support for her. But I mean, I work well with Sir Peter. You know, Sir Peter's in our offices at least once a week. You know, whether it's making sure he's got the ginger biscuits or making sure there is customer meeting goes well. You know, whatever it might be. You know, as a PA, God, you do absolutely everything, don't you? So, and I work well with Steve as well. You know, Steve's our group financial director, is James's brother. So, as a family, they still run our entire structure, still run the whole group. So yeah, full interaction with all of them a lot of the time.
Fantastic. And how would you say your role has traditionally changed over the years? Like, how do you kind of keep up to date with your skills, and kind of what do you, you know, from starting out in a traditional secretarial role and to kind of where you are now, how has that evolved over the years?
I think I'm lucky because I work in technology and I'm a bit of a technology geek, to be honest. So I think stay in touch with technology and also have good people around you that you can learn from. I've got a mixed team of people, and every one of them, I learn from them every day. Always keep yourself open to ideas, and also take the opportunities that come to you. Whatever's presented to you, grab the opportunity and go with it and learn with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think technology is really difficult, isn't it? Because it's vast. It's so
Yeah.
vast. And it's almost a little bit scary. I mean, someone was showing me two apps yesterday that could apparently revolutionize my life, and I was like, I, I was thinking to
From
myself, oh my God, to even download them, it's just going to put like to even I've got to be in the mindset to kind of get my head around it and think, right, how is this actually going to
I think
change my
you've got
life?
the technology and you've got to embrace it and not run from it. I mean, I'm 50 this year, and really, I work in the same way, really, as 18 and 20-year-olds. God, my godson is forever like, oh, God, Auntie Faye, have you watched this on TikTok or wherever it might be? I just think embrace it and go with it and run with it. If it's not for you, it's not for you, but give it a go. As I
Yeah.
say, I'm lucky because I work in technology, so it's around us all the time. But even so, God, I learn from my team all the time.
Do you find you must
So
have do you have quite varied personalities that you work with? Are the personalities quite different?
they're all different. I mean, some of them are actually sat in the room with me today, they're my cheering squad, which is brilliant. But yeah, they're all different personalities, they've all got different skills. And I think the thing for me is working out what their greatest skill set is and working on that rather than focusing and berating on the things that they can't do. But I just think, use L&D, get people educated, support them. But equally, I always use the phrase, I want to give them the wings and I want to let them fly. I don't want them to stay with me forever. I want them to learn and to grow and to go off and do other things. There's still people within our business today who've been my ex-office juniors,
Yeah.
worked their way through the business and stuff like that. So I just think, just take some raw talent and work with it.
Well, I think you really embraced the apprenticeship program when it first came out, didn't you? I
Yeah.
remember that. So how was that? How was that for you? Did you find that quite a daunting process, or was that something that was kind of being rolled out across the business, or was it something that you wanted to kind of
If I'm honest, Dan, I've probably got to thank you for it. So when I went through the awards process in 2018, it gave me a bit of an opportunity to reassess myself and where I wanted to go. And one of the things I'd always really, really enjoyed is bringing in young people, training them, nurturing them, and seeing them go off and be the best people that they can be. And at the time, SCC were introducing a number of apprenticeships, but we hadn't done any business administration apprenticeships. So, as one of the things that I took away from the PA Awards that I talked about to the judges, I actually thought you can't just talk about it, you've actually got to get on and do it. And I've got to say, it's such a rewarding experience. I've got one of my apprentices in here today, who was in another part of the business, came across to me, has gone through her apprenticeship and absolutely flown through it. And the progress that she's made while doing that has been outstanding. So it's great to see people encourage them to take that next step. And we obviously, well, not everybody would know this, but SCC just opening up an SCC Academy where we're focusing on training and educating underprivileged people. And we're actually going to be using that facility to support our own apprenticeship programs as well.
wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. And I think that's what we need to do, the amount of the wealth of experience that we have as a community working together, there's so much talent that people can offer and give to this industry from all different walks of life and experiences, and it's working that kind of bringing people in from entry level and helping them, like you said,
Yeah.
you want to give them the
The
wings
wings.
to let them fly. Yeah, absolutely love that. But we're just going to come back to the chat box, so I won't mention any names or anything, but um Somebody's put in here, I think I went for the same job as you 23 years ago at SCC.
Oh, brilliant.
I've also done a similar route in my career. It sounds like you're having a great time working with SCC. It's
Yeah,
so important to have the right connection with the person who you're working with. So
yeah, I couldn't agree more. I've been really lucky with that. Really.
fantastic. Oh, that's a brilliant comment. Thank you so much. And someone else, but I totally agree with being true to yourself and having integrity. Building trust is so important in this role. When your boss asks you for your opinion, they ask because they want you to be honest and because they value your opinion. As I said before, you are just the best. Owe my confidence and career to your guidance and being the best person to work with ever, which is amazing. Being a PA, EA is like a good marriage, I think. You have your ups and downs, but it's always about being honest and having each other's back.
Yeah, completely agree.
We have a unique view of the business we work in. Being a sounding board for the person we work with is an intrinsic part of our role. So I think it's fantastic. Lots of support for you there, Faye, as well, and lots of agreement from the people watching today. So thank you so much. And obviously, while we kind of touch on the awards, and thank you so much for that. I think with apprenticeships, for me, it's always an area where people are interested in, but they're actually quite I think sometimes they make the process can be a little bit difficult for businesses to get involved with in the first place. I think it depends on the finances and the size of the business, and who's going to champion that project, because it's quite a big thing to take on. But there is they've got a lot of startup schemes. I think people have seen those out there at the moment, where I think it's between I might be giving wrong information, so please check, but I think it's between 18 and 24-year-olds, I think, and bringing them into, and you can offer them
get additional
start. And this year is actually one of the first years that we've also put in. We had it last year at the West Midlands PA Awards. We had the Aspiring PA category, which was actually really well received. And this year we've put the Administrative Professional of the Year in, and you and the rest of the committee members have always, really championed that. And it's not just about the more senior executive support roles that are within business. It's all about, from the receptionist, as many people on here, I started on reception, Faye started on reception, a lot of us would have started on reception, working our way up. So you have a really well-rounded view, Faye, of the awards. I always think back to our first conversation that we had when you were nominated for the award back in 2018, wasn't it? So tell everybody about that time when you were nominated.
Oh God, my initial reaction was I was horrified, if I'm really honest. So actually one of the people in the room with me today is responsible for that. She still works with me today, so it's all good. But then I think I started going through the process, and I think the one word I would use about the whole process was it was incredible. And I think, if I'm honest, Dan, I bought into you. I bought into you as a person. You are massively inspirational for our entire community. So once I bought into you, going through the rest of the awards process was a really enjoyable experience. And as I said earlier, it made me think about my career, where I was, where I wanted to go, what I still wanted to do. And I'd always been quite dismissive of forums and networking. It's not naturally my thing at all. But actually going through the process and meeting the people that I've met along the way and getting the benefit that I've had from it, and actually ultimately the increased confidence, was probably one of the best things I ever did. So I've got to thank Claire for that, because she absolutely pushed me to do that, and to Tim wherever he's around the building today. But then it was great to be involved moving forward. So I think the first year I was on the judging committee, and I tell you what, guys, every one of you who've ever been through this has impressed me. Every person, I've had a takeaway from every interview. I've had a great idea that I've taken away at every interview. Everybody in our profession, whoever they are, whatever role they do, they're outstanding at it. We work really hard at this. And then I think as part of that, I got that, this was something that we needed to reward and recognise and celebrate. So obviously SCC have been a category sponsor. And then when Dan kindly asked me to join the committee, that was great. And I've got to say, it was a great experience previously, but the ladies I work with on the committee now, they make it an absolute joy. And every one of them I'm inspired by. every one of them. We all learn from each other every day. And I think that's the great thing about this forum, is that everyone is there just to support each other. And I think the awards, going through that, for anybody, whatever category they go into, they will find it a rewarding and empowering process.
Yeah, thanks, Faye. And I think I think for me personally, well, the reason I wanted to start it years ago was I just love, there's nothing like that feeling when you see everybody in the room. And sometimes I just like to kind of just stand back a bit and just watch and
what's going on,
just watch everybody's faces, what everyone's doing. Everyone's really excited, everyone's really happy, and it's just so lovely. And obviously, well, you had James was with you when you won, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't actually. He was in France. So I took a team of people I liked from SCC to go and have a good night out, because I had absolutely no thought that I was going to win in any way, shape or form. I went, you know what, let's go out, let's have a glass of wine, let's have a dance, and let's just have some fun. And winning was an absolute bonus, but it was not an expectation at all.
No, and I think you could see that on the night. I think when a lot of people with it don't really just have it goes back to that first time when there were nomination, you just sit there and think, oh my God, who's done this to me? I don't want to be in the limelight. And it's like, no, come on, let's, we'll do it.
I always say that, and everybody in this call will get this. Our roles are to sit behind somebody else and make them look good. We are never the ones who put ourselves out there and actually take the credit for anything. That's what we do. We stand behind somebody else and make them look good. So actually, the PA Awards, it allows us to step forward and actually celebrate the profession we're in, because it's an amazing profession.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, SCC are quite big on awards. I think you're always in for something. And I always, when I speak to Claire, she's always like, I'm going to this awards night, or I'm going there.
Actually, all of us in the room have got a full wardrobe full of black tie dresses, because we are forever called upon to make up in a table at an award somewhere. We're always zipping down to London for something or going off. I mean, it's one of those things that SCC is quite poor at marketing itself, and actually we're an incredible company. So one of the ways that we do market ourselves well is to go in for these awards, and a lot of the times we win them. So yeah.
Well, you are global, obviously. So you've got global offices. Where are your other offices located?
And we've got an operation in France, which is about double the size of the UK, an operation in Spain, an operation in Romania, and one in Vietnam.
Wow. And do you get to go there?
Oh God, no, I'm not that lucky. I don't get to go on a private plane every week. Does, even though he absolutely hates that. He'd much rather fly EasyJet, to be honest.
Oh, bless you. Well, so what, in terms of kind of how a lot of people are also we spoke about technology earlier. A lot of people are worried where the role's going and how that's going to, and what the role's going to look like for the future. Obviously, you work for a technology company. So do you feel, as from working for a technology company's perspective, that there is any challenge from your perspective to the role in the future?
You know what? I don't think there is. I think all good PAs and EAs need to embrace technology, but every single business needs a human face. They need that human interaction. And there's no app in the world or piece of technology that's ever going to replace those relationships that you've got to build. So yes, I think the role's changing. The days of you just managing a diary, booking a hotel, making sure somebody's got the right minutes for a meeting, those days are gone. That's part of the role, but it's such a small part of the role. And I think now the role's developed more as a project manager style role. So you work out, as I say, what direction your business is going in, what's your director's ultimate goals. And so do I think our roles will ever be replaced? No, I think they'll just be different. And I think we need to embrace the fact that it's going to be different and use the technology around us, work with the teams of people around us and go with the flow. But you can't replace that human interaction at all.
Well, let's ask them what's next for you then, Faye. What's your kind of next?
I don't know. I'm not sure there really is a next for me, because I think in my role, I've reached where I want to be. And certainly in the last 6 months, I've taken on operationally a huge part of SCC. So I carry the job title of EA, but that's really not the role that I do. I don't care about job titles. You can put whatever you want on my footer. The job that I do is the job that I do, and people accept that. But I think really, whatever opportunities come around the corner for me, I'll just say yes, and that's what I do now. Is I say yes, I give it a crack. If I can't do it, I admit that I can't do it. But just look for the opportunities and just take them, just grab them. They're out there, put yourself forward, take yourself out of your comfort zone. I mean, this is so far outside of my comfort zone. I can't even begin to tell you guys, but do it, and you'll get so much out of doing that.
Yeah, I think it was fantastic, to see this as support for you to come on this call on social media, not only from our community, but also from SCC, was just really overwhelming. There's loads of people, and there are other people that I've interviewed on here as well that know exactly how you feel. But it is, I think, for me personally, I would never want to push anybody out of their comfort zone too far. But I like, what I'm like, I'm quite persistent, Faye. So I do like to kind of keep pushing a little bit, just like, come on. But I think you've always been you've always balanced your professional and personal life really, really well. Have you struggled with that with COVID, or has that been really difficult? 'Cause I know there was a massive change, obviously, at the beginning of COVID, but with
think
work.
it's difficult for everyone, and I think it's been no more difficult for me than for everybody else. I mean, working at home isn't my thing at all. I'm an interactive person. I need to be around people and stuff. Some of my team are exactly the same. So trying to adapt and get through COVID. But I think really it was just about focusing on the business and making sure that the business got through COVID. It didn't matter about us all as individuals. As a business, we all worked as a team to get ourselves through. Now, we've been very lucky that we've got through COVID very well, but it has been a challenge. And I think perhaps in the last 6 months, it's more of a personal challenge with the additional parts of my role. Every day I'm exhausted, but every one of you on this call is going to get that. But there's also that enjoyment that comes with learning something new. As I say, I'm nearly 50, and every day I get to learn something new, and that's amazing. So if you can stay in a role where that's what you get to do every day, then you're going to stay, you're going to be happy and inspired to keep on going. So yeah,
Absolutely. And just so you know, Faye Gleeson, I think, is the biggest Take That fan out there, aren't you, Faye?
I went to Gary on Friday last week. Actually drove up for his new theatre show.
But just before, and if there's any questions before we wrap up today, please pop them in the chat box. I'd love to be able to put them to Faye. But what's your COVID kind of, we're getting a lot of questions at the moment from our community, as you've probably seen, about what your kind of COVID policy is going forward. So is SCC saying, right, back in, let's go? Is it flexible working still? Are people kind of very much have that choice, or how does it work for you, lovely?
So we've always followed government guidelines. So wherever the government said, that's what we've done. So when the Boris has told us all to go home, that's what we've done. If he said you can come back to the office, that's what we've done. We've followed all the social distancing guidelines and everything else. But SCC was a very traditional company, and in some ways still is, in the fact that we didn't have home working at all. We've moved to a hybrid working model now where it's 3 days in and 2 days out, and it's actually, you've got to take the positives out of COVID, because had that not happened, we wouldn't be in the place where we are today, where we're able to have much more agile working. We've proved that other roles can work from home, that can be equally successful, if not more successful in some roles. People's productivity has gone up. And I think that level of trust between the business and people who have gone to work from home, that's been a real positive for SCC. It's not become a negative. So I think as a business, we've taken all the positives, but now we're back in a hybrid model. We're in a brand new £7 million refurbished building, so that's a lovely work environment for people to come in. We're accepting customers back in, so back in doing customer tours, vendor workshops and things like that. So as much as business can be normal, that's where we're back to now.
Amazing, thank you, Faye. And just before we wrap up today, if you what sort of would be your 3 nuggets of advice that you would kind of share with people? I mean, I've just looked in the chat box. I think we've got in there, have you got any jobs? So I think that's
we have got jobs. Right. We've got lots of jobs.
So what would kind of be your 3 nuggets of advice that you could share with everybody on the call, just from your own experience?
Okay, my most important thing is, as I've already said, is have your own standards and integrity. You'll never go wrong with that. Always have that. Always look for the positives in everything. So don't be that person who's negative and can't quite find the positive angle from something, because whatever happens, wherever the disaster is, there's something in there that you're going to learn from, and you're going to, find the positive side from. And also, I think just grab all the opportunities, put yourself out there, go outside of your comfort zone, learn the new skills, and you'll be amazed at how amazing it is to go on that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I just want to say from me personally, thank you for being so supportive of the forum. Since since we met each other, or in 2018, we met each other before that, but we really started building a really strong relationship with each other since 2018. You've been so amazing supporting the awards, so amazing.
No, Dan, and so are you. As I say, you are an inspiration for the group of people on this call and the rest of the forum, because without you, we wouldn't be the community that we are, and we wouldn't have that great positive support of each other. And the PA forum is like no other that I've ever been in. All you get is that positivity. So thank you to you from all of us.
Oh, bless you. Thank you, lovely. No, it's an absolute pleasure. I absolutely love it. And I'm just so excited to see kind of what we can do all together for the future, and kind of, maintain what we're doing and try and build on what we're doing and build awareness. And it's only by doing things like this and finding out more about you and our members and what you're all doing. It's what you all asked for. So, and thank you, Faye, for pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, because I know, I promise you I'll back off a bit now.
I've been out for 4 years and I can go and eat my lunch now, because I've been sat there nervously thinking, oh no, I can't eat before I do this interview.
Oh no, so thank you so much, everybody. Thank you to Faye. We will Faye's kindly agreed that we can upload and share the recording, so if there is anyone else that you feel would benefit from watching Faye's journey and talking about her her experience and lived experience, that would be fantastic. But thank you, have a fantastic day, everybody, and we'll hope to see you back. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.